Hey y'all, welcome back. Glad to have you guys joining back in with us. We're going to be working on our tomatoes. So let's see what Kelly's up to and how we're going to get this done.
Alright, I've already started without you, but I'll explain what we're doing while you can see. You can see that side's kind of bushy over there, and then this side, what we're doing is we're pruning them up. And the purpose of this is I'm going to have two main leaders that I'm going to run up into my trellis here, okay? So we've got, last year we ran high, so we moved our trellis up. Hopefully this year we don't run out of space. We had over 10-foot plants last year. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take these bamboo stakes here and I'm going to put them near and then guide them up. Well, it looks like I'm going to need my longer ones. These are the ones we used last year. They're too short with the cattle panels. Anyways, I'm going to take 2 leaders and I'm going to run these up and then let them train up, because now tomatoes in general, as you can see, they're sprawlers, they're heavy. And what makes tomatoes very particular is if you're getting close, baby. Let's see here. Come in close. You see all these little hairs on here? I don't know if you can see them. Got hundreds of little hairs. You see that? Each one of those will become a root if it touches the ground. So if this is left like it is here laying on the ground, it will eventually run roots down into this dirt right here, and it will become bound to the ground, which is good because that's more moisture as it vines out. That's nature taking care of itself. But we want it up so that our fruit is not on the ground. We don't want our tomatoes sitting there rotting on the ground. So we're going to run this up and across here, but they have to be trained to do that. So what we're going to do is, and I'll explain what I'm doing down there, but we've got it down to just 2 main lines here that we're going to let run up. Now naturally you've got hundreds and hundreds of these branches that I've cut off. Let's go down to the other end. Well, actually we can do it right here. Let me get my clippers. Okay, now what we're doing is trimming up all these on the outside. Now this is, you've got 2 here that I've allowed 1 to go off the side, and I'm going to show you down there where there's a whole bunch of them going that I haven't got to. But you can see this is your leaf, your main stalk come up, then your leaf come out, your leaves are coming out, and your main stalk here. Right here in the armpit of that, you can see that is a leader. Okay, this is a sucker right here. This is another plant. Technically speaking, you can cut this off like I did those over there, and you can plant this. And like I was telling you, all these little hairs will become roots, and you can start your own plant off this. But what I'm wanting, now see, this one's got 2 coming off it over here. I've got 1, 2, the main one, and then 1 sucker that I left, because I'm going to run 2 up through here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this one right here, so that now this one will come up, and then this is your main. Now, so I don't want any more after that, but this is basically just a sucker in the middle. And then if you're not careful, you got to be careful. You see your little buds right here. These are little nubs that come out, and they got little leaves, but that's your little, that will be your tomatoes right there, little tomato clusters. Okay, so we're going to pause for a second. I'm going to take you down to the other end where I'm got to, and we will show you how to trim these up from there. Okay, now this one we haven't touched yet. Now as you can see, it's laying on the ground because of all of its weight. Now we're going to want to bring this up and get it up into the cattle panel. So if you look down in here, you're going to see you got your little blooms. You got to be real careful not to disturb them. But like I was telling you, you've got an arm here. This is a leaf.
Can't see your hands in the way.
You got a leaf there, and see this sucker coming out of there? Every one of these, see here? You got a leaf, comes up, you have a sucker. So we don't want a bush. I mean, this will literally just become a mass, and it will be so heavy that you cannot train it to go up. So what you got to do is you come in here and you're going to pinch off all these little ones like this and get rid of those. So we're going to have to start at the bottom because we want to train upward and we don't want anything touching the ground. So we're going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to show you here. That would have been a leader, but we're going to cut it off. That is a whole nother plant. And it itself, now that we cut this one off, this sucker off, you look in there, that armpit, there's another one. So now this one plant turned into 2 plants that turned into 3 plants. Oh, look here. There's a fourth one. Oh, look in there, there's a fifth one. You look in there, there's a sixth one. So that's why you prune. Otherwise, it becomes such a mass that you can't actually, smother your fruit, and the sun's not hitting your fruit. Tomatoes have to have direct sunlight for the fruit to ripen. Otherwise, your tomatoes will stay green. You need heat and sunshine. So if it gets too cold, they're not going to. And that's what happened is we had beautiful weather. We planted everything. Our seedlings come out and they did awesome. And as you can see, everywhere around here, these are nice and thick. Everything is thick. Everything is grown. But this has all been in like a week, maybe a week and a half. Because when we hit that cold snap, everything went on pause. Mother Nature just went on pause. Now the collard greens over here next to it, look how beautiful they are. Look at the broccoli next to it, how beautiful they are. They just ran off and left everything because they're a cool crop. These are a warm crop. So now we're gonna get back to what we're doing with these. So we gotta figure out, we're gonna have two. I want two. You might want three. Some people only do one. So if you look in here, you've got a main leader here. You've got a leader here. Everywhere down in here, there's an armpit. But we're gonna have to worry about where we start all the way at the bottom. Okay, we find our bottom all the way to the bottom. So let's clean it up a little bit so we can see what we're doing here. Look how little that branch is and how big the leader is. And that would have been a plant. So let's get rid of some of these. Leaf, not planter. These are just, this white would be such a bush. So we're gonna get rid of a bunch of these so that we can actually see what we're doing. And it also keeps them up off the ground and less chance of disease. So that's another good reason to be doing this. And make sure you clip these. Don't just, you can use your thumbnail, come in here and pinch these off. But anytime you cut into a plant, you're opening it up for pests, disease, and stuff like that. So the better you cut these, the cleaner you cut these, the better off you're going to be. So what we got to do now is look here at this plant. We've got a runner here. Like I say, you got a leaf, you got the armpit, and you got a runner. You've got one here. See how they're starting, but see now you got these tomato plants. These little arms are your tomatoes. See how they're starting to bloom here? Now we need to find one because we want two. This one here, compared to this one, totally different. Even though this one's would have started sooner than this one, being farther down, it's weaker. So what we're going to do is we're going to just get rid of that. Here's another one. See, this one though is weaker than this one, so we're going to get rid of that one. So now
weaker as in what?
Thinner. See how thick and the stalk is? It's almost as thick as.
I understand.
Some of them you're gonna run into some of them when you get behind schedule like this, and all of a sudden you get a mass of them, and you're just looking at it going, which one is the main branch? You literally can't figure it out because when you cut that, if you were to cut this leader right here, it's not going to grow anymore. So if you cut the main one, you can have leaders come off it, but you'll stop your growth. So you got to be careful which ones you cut. So we got to be careful which ones we look at. Now you get up here on the top, so you got more suckers coming out, so we can trim those. We want to leave the leaves, and you got to be real careful because right above that is a tomato cluster. So let's see, we got some down in here. We'll go ahead and get rid of that one. Clean it up a little bit. Clean that up a little bit. Now you can see how we've got two coming up. We got our main branch and we got a leader. Now this will become a main branch, and we're going to let two of these come up. Now as we go, as they come up, every time there's an arm, every time there's a leaf, the sucker is going to want to start. So you got to keep up with it. Once they start and the weather gets warm, these things will take off. That's when you really got to keep up with them, because like I did here, but can you imagine doing a plant that's this tall and having to go through all of it? And if you look, you're going to get a little black tar looking stuff on your fingers from the oils in the plant. So it's just normal. That just comes from dealing with tomatoes. So don't freak out. There's nothing wrong with you. Nothing wrong with them. It's not a fungus or anything. It's just the oils from the plants. And the more you deal with them, the more you'll get that, and it'll wash off or wear off. So it's no big deal. So we've got a bunch of choices on this one. So we've got a main one here. This is our main. Let's see. There's some leaves. I need more leaves here. Now this is a leader coming off. See, here's that, the little branch. The leaves are small down here, but we don't want anything that's touching the ground because that'll be for disease and mold and mildew and stuff like that. But like I was saying, anywhere there's a leaf, you have an armpit, and then you got a leader. So we got all these choices on where we want to go. So we've got our main one coming out of the ground here, coming up for every split. See, we got a leader here, we've got one here, we've got one here, we got a main one here, but we kind of want to be up here. So let's look up farther. Do we have a really strong one up on top? We've got a really good one here coming out of the armpit. But like I said, I was telling you earlier, when these get bigger, can you imagine trying to pick out which one of these would be the main one when they get a little bit, another week's of growth on them? And if you look in here, see a little leaf right there? That's another little sucker. He's starting. Every one of these starts a sucker, comes up. See, they're going to make another sucker. Every sucker makes a sucker that makes it, and these will be just, so you have to prune them if you want to keep it control. Now here, we got a nice one, but I think this one's a better one. This one down here, this is a good one, but this is higher, so it gives us up off the ground. So let's start down here, and you look at what we just cut off. That's a good tomato plant. You can actually plant that. I don't remember if I talked about that, did I? Transplanting? Okay. This leader is basically an exact clone of this plant that I just cut off. Now these are heirlooms, so you're going to get a consistency every year. I can take this fruit, these seeds, and get the exact same tomato every year. When you do hybrids, you don't get that. It'll be different because you've got different parents, just like different nationalities with children. You know, it's never the same. It always just depends on genetics of which plant or person's genetics are stronger. And so it's just the same way. So we're gonna take this one, for example. This is a tomato plant. If I take this and I plant it, I can plant it right next to this, put it down in the soil, water that in, and it'll wilt a little bit, but give it a couple days and it'll start blooming, it'll start growing. So that's the one thing. If your neighbor or friend has tomatoes that you like theirs, you can get some cuttings off their tomatoes, and you can have your own of what they have without going through all the hassle of cutting or planting. So, okay, where did we use that? We decided to go with one of them up on top, so let's get a few more off the bottom. So we have, here's another beautiful plant that we're just throwing away, some people would say. Wow, we got so many choices in here. I'm gonna go one more down here off the bottom. One more. I'm gonna get rid of this one. Keep cleaning this up. So now we're getting up. Now that's a weak one. That's a strong one. But we got it strong right here. I think let's just clean it up to right there. So we can clean that up, clean that up, clean that up, clean that up, clean that up. Now we got a nice clean plant. Nothing's near the ground. So now we got this cleaned up. It's a totally different plant. But we're gonna have one coming off here. Now here, right in the middle, here's a little cluster. See, the light can hit it just right. There it is. See, there's a little cluster of tomatoes gonna be right there. Can you see that? No. Okay. Well, it's there. Okay. So you be careful, don't trim them off. Now we're just gonna watch, and as this goes up, I'll do another one. And as we get up higher, I'm gonna keep trimming off. So there's our cluster of tomatoes. After this gets up to the point where it's its own thing, I'm gonna trim this leaf off, and then I'll just keep trimming the leaves off as we go. So basically, as it gets to here, the only thing that's gonna be from here to here will be clusters of tomatoes. It'll be a bare, just like this. And once you get down here, these serve no purpose. Make sure you leave a canvas because this is how it gets its energy from the sun. But you don't need all these on the bottom. It keeps it nice and clean. It gets your sunlight in there. It gets airflow, because with tomatoes, or just like a lot of your other peppers and everything else, you got to have airflow so it keeps the mildew down. Because if you get stale, just like a closet that's locked up for a long time, you start getting that stale smell. Same thing with them. It'll get on your leaves. It'll get on your fruit. So you need that airflow. You need airflow. So the more you keep them trimmed up, the healthier they're going to be. We'll do another video when they get a little taller. Like I say, I'm going to get some stakes now and try to get these trained up. And I'm just going to tomato clips, clip them to that bamboo. Let me go pause that for a minute. I'm going to be right back. So we're just using bamboo. Like we said, these things are priceless in the garden. So we're just gonna, not too close, so you don't want to mess up your root base, but close enough that you can get a little in there and then come up to wherever you're wanting it to go. So this plant pretty much right up through here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a tomato clip. Now, not all garden centers have these, but you can get them online for just pennies on the dollar. You get a big bag of them and it's cheap. And they're just little clips that clip over and then they snap. And that holds. These are tomato clips. You can use these for a lot of things, different plants. But we're going to put one here to hold this, and they just pop off and we're done. So now what we're going to do is start our plant the direction we want it. So I'll tag this one here, and this allows it to move. Now our plant can move and grow and not worry about it getting any strife. So I think that'll be enough just to start it the way we want. Now we'll pay attention, and as we get a little higher, we'll put another clip about here, another clip about here, and by that time we should be up here. So we're gonna go through, I'm gonna go through all these and clip them up, train them up, like I said, because otherwise they'll sprawl. The heavier they get, the more they're gonna wanna lay down. So take a few minutes, trim your plants up. I'm a little behind, it took a little bit longer today, but you know what? Once you get them started, once you get them going, you're gonna love it. And now that you can see what you're doing, it's gonna be a lot easier. Just once a week, once every couple days, take a minute, and it's a lot easier to weed too, when you ain't got all that in the way. So that's our tomatoes. We're gonna do another video later, but right now, this is where they're at. The pruning, very important. Training them to where you wanna go is very important. But other than that, that's what I've got.
Okay, you guys, we got them all bambooed up. We even put the clips on them to hold the bamboo up. We got all those done. We got them all trimmed up. Got everything going. Go in the direction they're supposed to be going. And now I'm going to give you a small tour of the garden. Show you how everything's going. That's the 1,000 head kale. That thing gets huge. There's the kohlrabi. There's the beets. There's the peas. And look what we got. Pea pods. Pretty cool, huh? See all the peas? Beautiful. I think it's beautiful. Then there's the carrots. They're actually doing really good. Full and beautiful. And then right here we put in green beans. They're doing really good. Right there's gonna be my peanuts, but it hasn't been hot enough for peanuts, you know, to plant them yet. Right here's all of the cauliflower. And I don't think we have anything yet. No, not yet. Right here's our little salad bar. Looking amazing. Right here, this is already balling up like it's supposed to be. Our zucchini and squash looks really good. Looks like we're already starting to get a I love seeing stuff grow. Love it, love it, love it. Looks good. What my favorite is, when you start seeing stuff grow up the trellis, that's when I start to get excited. All of the green, or all of the cucumbers, we're starting to get some flower, which means produce will start to come. Over here is all the kale that we've got. Looking good. Okay, you guys have an awesome day. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. When you subscribe, you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. You guys have an awesome day and smile for us. Bye.